Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys all about the things that I did to help me prepare for an easier, smoother, and quicker labor. I did a lot of stuff throughout my pregnancy, especially towards the end, that I really think helped me during my labor and delivery process. Now, I was induced due to medical reasons, and usually when it comes to inductions, they're very long and they are very hard. My induction process from the start of Pitocin, like right when they started me on Pitocin, to baby out was only 13 hours. And usually inductions are anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. I had an extremely smooth, quick, easy, beautiful induction labor and delivery. I have a video all about how it went, what happened, and we also have a labor and delivery vlog. I will put those both on the end card at the end of this video if you're interested in watching those. So I heard somebody say this right before I got pregnant, and I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Think about people who are training for marathons. They're gonna be running 26.2 miles all in one run. They're gonna be running 26.2 miles. How long do you think they prepare themselves for that marathon? It's a lot. It's a lot of training. I know personally because my mom ran a marathon once and she was gone all day long running for hours and hours and hours on end. We would go to school, she would start running when we went to school, and by the time we got home, she was still running because she was preparing herself every day. She would increase the amount of miles that she was doing, and she would always make sure she was fueling her body with what she needed, the right proteins, the right amount of water. There's a lot that goes into training yourself for a marathon. If you think about labor and delivery, you're gonna think, okay, that's the most painful, crazy experience that your body's ever going to go through as a woman. Why don't we prepare ourselves for that? Why isn't it common knowledge to prepare ourselves for the craziest, most traumatic, beautiful day of our lives? Somebody who's going to run a marathon is not gonna wake up the day of the marathon and be like, okay, I'm gonna go run a marathon without having trained for it. So we as pregnant women should view labor and delivery very similar in the way that we should start preparing our bodies the second that we find out that we are pregnant. And we have 9 long months to do that. So I'm gonna go through all of the things that I did, and I guarantee you, and I'm gonna use this word strongly, I guarantee you this will help you have a more beautiful, smooth, and quicker labor and delivery. The very first thing that I'm gonna talk about is exercise. And I know that as pregnant women, sometimes we just wanna be lazy and use being pregnant as an excuse to not be active, to not be up on our feet, to eat as much as we want, to eat whatever we want because we're pregnant and we're gaining weight anyways. But we should actually be thinking the opposite. I did a lot of light exercises, but I did them very consistently. So the first thing that I did is almost every single night, me and Aidan would take our dogs on a walk. Walking is the best form of exercise, in my opinion, for a pregnant woman because it gets your heart rate going, it gets you moving, it gets your muscles going, but it's also not going overboard. Me personally, I never did any running. I know there's a lot of pregnant women that do run and they love it. Me personally, I didn't do it. I leaned more towards the light exercises, a lot of stretching, a lot of squats, things like that. So the first thing that I did was making sure to be going on walks at least every other day. And near the end of my pregnancy, it got extremely painful. I don't know what was wrong with my pelvis. I don't know if it's just because my baby was so low down in there that my whole entire pelvic area killed me. I'm a fast walker. I am an extremely fast walker. People are always telling me like, oh my gosh, you need to slow down. During my pregnancy, I was like barely walking because it hurt so bad. No matter how badly it hurt, I kept going and we kept walking. So now I'm gonna go over all of the stretching that I did, and this started pretty much immediately after I found out I was pregnant. The first stretch that I did is called a deep hold squat, and it's basically where you spread your legs out a little bit farther than you would with a regular squat, and basically you want your butt almost be touching the floor and just sit there and hold. I would do this when I was feeding the dogs and waiting for them to finish. I would just do that deep hold squat and just sit there for a couple of minutes, and as a nanny, it was really easy easy for me to do this because as it is, I like to be at eye level with the toddlers and the babies that I nanny. So I would just sit there in that deep hold squat while playing with them, while reading to them, while talking to them. Whatever I was doing, I was making sure that I was in that deep hold squat. I was doing it as much as I possibly could. That's really gonna help open your pelvis and your inner thigh muscles and allow them to stretch and allow them to become more flexible. So the next thing that I was doing daily, and again, it was super easy because I was a nanny and on the floor all the time, is the butterfly stretch. You put your feet together and you push your legs out and push them down. And then if you lean your body forwards and just stretch your whole body out, that helps too. Just really feeling that burn in your inner thighs and your pelvic area. Like I said before, it's just really gonna help stretch that area out. And when it comes to pushing, it's going to really help with that process. Another thing that I did, I made this a daily morning routine when I got to work, was to sit on the floor, put myself in that butterfly stretch position, lift my arms all the way up and kind of shimmy back and forth, trying to give myself room for the baby and help my lungs to be able to get some more air in there. Especially at the end of your pregnancy, it gets really tough to breathe, and just stretching out and making some room for that baby in there, giving yourself some room, it really helps to get some air in your lungs. Another thing that I did is near the end of my pregnancy, I took a ton of baths. So I would take my organic fractionated coconut oil and I would just drizzle my entire bath with it. I'd put lavender essential oils and also a good cup of Epsom salts in there, and I would sit at the edge of my bath, hang my arms over. I would have my laptop in front of me so I could watch some Hulu, and I would put myself in that deep squat stretching position. So my whole lower body was still in the water, but I was doing that stretch, and I would sit there in that stretch and hold position for a good 30 to 40 minutes while I was sitting in there enjoying my TV shows. I really think that the coconut oil and the lavender oil and the Epsom salts really helped to soften my lady parts down there and all of the skin down there as well. I did that pretty much every single day, starting at about 35 weeks, I would say. Another really good tip that I have, and this can start right away, is to go to like Walmart or Target and buy yourself a nice yoga ball and replace any chairs in your house that you sit at, like the dining room table, your bed, wherever you're usually sitting throughout the day, and replace that with a yoga ball. Because when you're sitting on your yoga ball, you're opening your pelvis, you're stretching out your inner thighs, and you're just allowing that baby to get into the right position. And of course you can sit there and bounce up and down as well. I found that when I was sitting on my yoga ball, I actually had a lot better posture than I would when I was sitting in a chair. Normally when you're sitting in a chair, you're kind of like this, right? Because that's what's comfortable and you let yourself slouch. When you're on a yoga ball, you kind of have to sit up straight and have better posture because you're trying to balance and keep yourself upright on that ball. So not only did that help stretch out my pelvis and my inner thigh muscles and get that area open, but it also helped with my posture, which gave my baby more room, which gave me more room to breathe. So I would roll my yoga ball all around the house. Whenever Aidan and I were watching TV shows at night, I would make sure to be sitting on that yoga ball, bouncing on it. My sister-in-law also told me to write out the alphabet with my hips on the ball. So I did that a couple times a night as well, because if you think about it, if you're sitting in a regular chair, most of the time your legs are crossed or your legs are really close together, and that's just keeping your pelvis really closed, and you don't want that. You want your pelvis to be opening up, to be stretching out, and preparing yourself to push that baby out. And pretty much right away I ended up ordering this Pink Stork Labor Prep caffeine-free labor and delivery teas. This stuff is so good. It's super sweet. You don't need to add any honey or agave or any sweetener of any kind. It is super delicious. I love it. I highly recommend getting this, and this is safe to be drinking all throughout your pregnancy. Now, starting at about 33 weeks is when I was drinking really strong red raspberry leaf teas. So it has to be red raspberry leaf, not red raspberry tea, not raspberry tea. It has to be red raspberry leaf tea. And I started that again at about 33 weeks. And I was drinking, I would say like 32-ounce glasses of it. I would put like 3 bags of the red raspberry leaf tea in there, and then 1 or 2 bags of nettle leaf tea as well, because I was having a really hard time with sleeping at night. And my chiropractor told me to make sure to be drinking nettles as much as I could. So I did that, and I saw a huge difference in being able to sleep. That's just gonna help really ripen your cervix, so when it's time to dilate, you can dilate quickly and easily. And I think it really helped because I dilated to a 10 within a couple of hours. The first time that I got checked, I thought that I was at about a 4 or 5 centimeters, and my nurse looked at me and said, you are at a 9.5. It only took me about 3 hours of intense labor to get there, which is insane. So the next thing that I did, starting at about 35 weeks, I was taking about 2 red raspberry leaf capsules on top of my 32 ounces of red raspberry leaf tea every day. And again, this is just gonna help ripen that cervix and help you open up when it's time to dilate. And then starting at about 35, 36 weeks, I was using evening primrose oil. And I took these vaginally. So all you have to do is take 2 or 3 capsules right before bed, put them up there, make sure to be wearing a pad because they do pop inside of you and then leak out through the night. And then all you have to do is when you wake up, wipe yourself down, take the pad off, and you're good to go. And what this is gonna do is really help moisturize your vaginal walls, really help you become more elastic and soft, so when it comes to dilation, you're able to dilate quickly and easily without any issues. So what I'm going to do is link all of the things that I use to prepare myself for labor down below so that you guys are able to shop this video if you want to buy exactly what I was using. Another thing that I cannot recommend enough is making sure that you are hydrated. I have a giant hydro flask that I carry around with me all the time, pregnant or not, and I was making sure to be drinking about 4 of those a day. So that came out to be about 100 to 130 ounces of water a day. You want to make sure that you are keeping yourself hydrated, not only for your baby and yourself, but also for your skin, because that's going to be able to help your skin stretch and pull back easier because it is hydrated and moisturized and more elastic when you are drinking your water. So another tip that I have is go find yourself a really good certified prenatal and perinatal chiropractor. When I was about 15 weeks pregnant, I searched on a Facebook group that is here in Spokane, and I asked for a prenatal chiropractor, and I got a lot of recommendations for the chiropractor that I see now. She's absolutely amazing, and she is certified to work with pregnant women to help them open up their pelvis to make sure that their baby is in the right position, and if your baby is breech, she also knows which stretches and exercises that you can do to get that baby into the right position. So I highly recommend finding yourself a chiropractor because they're just gonna help get your body aligned and prepared for your labor and delivery. All right, guys, so that is everything that I did that I believe helped my labor and delivery go by super quick, super easy, super smooth without any complications. I'm gonna make sure to link all of my products down below so you guys are able to shop this video if you're wanting to buy what I recommend for labor and delivery prep. So this video shout out is gonna go to Leah Real. So shout out to you, Leah. And if you would like a shout out, all you have to do is make sure to be subscribed and comment down below. So now I am going to read a verse of the vlog. So this verse is Romans 6:14, and it says, "For sin shall no longer be your master, because you are not under the law, but under grace." So if you have any prayer requests, make sure to leave them down below. If they're too personal, you can always DM either me or Aidan on our Instagrams. You guys are loved, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.